My name's Mr. X and this is the Xtreme Travel. We do a normal segment here called Xtreme Travels where we cover some of the places I went, whether it was for business or pleasure, because I go on about 15 to 20 trips a year. Well, my family and I, we do about 4 to 5 resorts per year. So moving forward, part of this segment is we are going to specifically review that resort, everything about it. And this particular month, we took a trip to Crowne Paradise Club in Cancun. So stay tuned and find out more. Mr. X with the Xtreme channel here, and we are talking about Xtreme Travels in November 2019. Specifically, my family and I, family of 5, we went to the Crowne Paradise Club in Cancun. Before I give you a little bit of background, let me tell you how the structure is going to work. So first of all, we're going to review everything, and we have what's called an extreme scale for all the high-end collectibles we review, and I figure it's going to work just as well for traveling. So first of all, what are we going to review? We're going to review Crowne Paradise Club, but we are going to review the accommodations, so the rooms, and we're going to talk about it, show some video and screenshots of everything we talk about. We're going to review the food and the bars. We're going to review the grounds. We're going to review the activities. We're going to review the staff, and we're going to review it overall. Now, how do we review it? Well, we essentially use a very complicated 1 through 5 scale. Here's a picture of it. It's called the extreme scale. Basically, on the left is 1, trash, horrible. If it's on the left, it's bad. If it's on the right, it's X for extreme. That's kind of a 5 out of 5. And whenever we grade something, if it's falling in between 2 letters, so for example, a W and a T, so say it's between a 4 and 5, we're going to go with the lower grade just to be safe and keep everything objective. So does that make sense? I can't hear what you're saying, but that's the way we're going to do it. And let me give a little bit of background about Crowne Paradise Club and why we decided to book there. So as I said in the intro, we go on trips probably 4 to 5 times a year, whether it's a cruise or an all-inclusive resort. And lately we've been going to Mexico a lot, simply for the fact it is about $2,000 to $3,000 cheaper for a family, and flights are a 4-hour flight as opposed to an overnight or 8-hour flight somewhere else in the Caribbean or even overseas where there are all-inclusives. And not only that, but we've been booking through Costco Travel. We've been doing that for about 4 or 5 years now, possibly longer, and we book about 75% of our trips through there. It's just easier for them to take care of our flight arrangements, easier for them to take care of our transportation, especially when a place like Mexico has a little bit of a bad reputation for foreign visitors. So we've been using them, and we paid about $5,000 for about a 9 or 10 day trip to Mexico from the continental U.S., and it included an all-inclusive at Crowne Paradise Club. Crowne Paradise Club has multiple locations. You can check out their website if you want, which I'm sure you have if you're already here trying to find out what's going on. And this location is very much aimed at children. And one of the reasons we chose it is because it's very much aimed at children, and it's a lot more affordable and a little bit lower rated than most of the resorts we go to, because this was kind of an impromptu Thanksgiving trip. We're stressed. Let's get the hell out of the U.S. We planned it about 2-3 months in advance. We're able to surprise our kids as we usually do, which is awesome. But so we paid a little bit less. I think all in, as I said, about $5,000, which for flights that time of year is fantastic. And I'm still torn on the facility, whether I'd go back or not. And most of the time, for the record, we don't ever go back. We always choose somewhere new. Because realistically, when you're looking to go to an all-inclusive, a few things matter to me. I want to make sure that there is a beach. I want to make sure that there is a beautiful pool, and I want to make sure that there is food and alcohol. And most of them fit that bill. But it's cool to see different experiences, and this one did have some unique entertainment options that we're going to talk about and we're going to grade. So let's jump right in, and one of the most important things to me is about service. How good are they? Do they still have that classic how may I serve you attitude that we used to see 15, 20 years ago all the time. And let me get something straight. For the record, my family and I are extremely low maintenance. We are the type of people that we will get up to get our own drinks. We don't want someone to wait on us. We carry our own luggage. We don't expect any, royal carpet rolled out. But everyone here was extremely friendly and helpful. Their service was fantastic, from checking in to room. We didn't have room service, but our room attendant. Some of the people at the restaurants were just out of this world. Some of the people at the buffet were a little but people on the pool were fantastic. People at the beach, lifeguards, some bartenders, again, some were fantastic, some were But overall, well done on the service. I give them a 4 out of 5. And keep in mind that 3 is a good score. If you get the 3 in the middle of the V, that's very good, very nice. It means they're doing a decent job. So I think they're above average on service, which was really nice to see with a lower end hotel. Next thing I want to talk about is kind of the grounds, what it looked like. And this is probably going to be the worst category. This hotel is in need of some major renovation, which is such a shame because the location is fantastic. So let's talk about the beach here. It is a fantastic beach. It's on the south end of the hotel strip. It is so beautiful, and they do a great job maintaining it. As you can see here, the waves were amazing. The sand was amazing. And if you are a huge beach person, this is definitely somewhere to go for you. There were plenty of seats for sure, which is always one nice thing at a resort. Sometimes the seats get taken right away. The beach, there was tons of receipts. There was tons of seats. There was lounge seats. There was tons of canopies. You never had to worry about it. The waiter service was just okay, not a huge deal, but they did have a bar right by the beach, which we'll talk about later. So the beach is fantastic. That I'm not grading that specifically, but that would be an X for sure, a 5 out of 5. The pools were also very nice. They had 3 different pools. Here you see some different videos. The first one was kind of the main pool. It was an infinity pool. This one looked beautiful. And again, no problems getting seats if you were there before 9 o'clock or so, which is, at some resorts the seats get reserved by 7 a.m. But the big thing about this is it was a high activity pool. They had tons of activities, which we're going to talk about later, but it was very loud, a lot of stuff like that going on. We only spent one day at this particular pool. However, right next to it is the pool we spent most of our time at. And this one was a little bit quieter. It was just a few feet to the south of this other pool. Still had a beautiful view. And all the pools weren't very deep. They're about 4 or 5 feet deep, but temperature, it was a little chilly, but we were down there in November, which is winter. And there was a bar right next to this pool, as you see, which was fantastic. And this bar is actually in between the 2 pools I just showed you. And this had direct access to the beach. There was other ways to get to the beach as well. So we kind of hung out at this overlook. We did this most of the days. Now, a third pool that they had was actually an indoor pool. And this is right outside one of the kids' areas that we're going to talk about. And this pool was also beautiful. We didn't really use it because we like to stay in the sun. But it was a cool option for parents if you drop your kid off at the child water park. And all these pools really didn't have set hours. They did, but people pretty much swam whenever they wanted. This one, as you can imagine, was a little bit colder as well. Now, what you saw behind this is actually the child water park. This is really, really cool. It's really, really unique. Now, it was very run down. And I imagine something like this, when you're not specifically a water park, is hard to keep up. Everything we've talked about till now was decently kept up, and we're going to kind of take a dive here. This was not as nicely done, but there were the options of what to do were really nicely done, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. And where the grounds really suffered is up here. So they had a really cool basketball court and soccer court with a beautiful view, but it looked very trashy. Not very well done. Some of the things I don't have specific pictures of were, as you walked around, you'd see tile broken, things. It wasn't that they weren't clean, but just so much buildup and nastiness going on. They also had a huge fly problem everywhere you went and huge bird problem. And granted, those are very difficult things to control, but some money would have helped invest those in the right direction. Another big part of the park, as you see here, they had some slides, which we're going to look at a little bit with the entertainment options. but these were run down as well. It was really interesting. I feel like if they would have had an investor pour about 20 to 30 million into the grounds and the hotel rooms, which we're going to talk about, then they could have charged about 50% more and made it more of a high-end resort. So everything was very, and I didn't show a lot of pictures of this, but it was basically a 2 out of 5 on the grounds. Or actually, you know, we're going to go a 3 out of 5. Very nice on the grounds, right in the middle, because some of the things like the beach were fantastic, but some of the things were just so run down and in bad need of money. So on the grounds, we're going to give it that. Accommodations, what probably a lot of you tuned in for is, what do the rooms look like, which is definitely a valid reason. Well, we stayed in a family suite in the Paradise Tower, which was the biggest one. Not the biggest one, but the biggest one that didn't cost $40,000. And the really cool thing about this, if you're a large family like us, or a larger family, you can all fit here very comfortably. So as you see, as we're going in here, and I don't know if I'm dictating it the exact way it's laying out on the video behind me, but there is it's a split entry and a lower part where it has kind of a desk area, a bathroom. Something else about the grounds as well, as you're watching the video of this, is the drains sucked. They kept plugging up all the time. Again, kind of in need of renovation, which they were renovating while we were there. But as you see, you have a bathroom for the bottom and then a trifold, actually, bunk bed. And so essentially you could fit 4 or 5 children, if you have that many, down on the bottom floor, which was pretty neat, with a very fantastic view to the ocean, which was awesome as well. And the neat thing about this room is it was right in the central lobby area, so you were in the middle of everything. Everything was a 2 to 3 minute walk away, which is really, really nice. Now, along with that, the upper level was for my wife and I, and it had a king-size bed. Again, it had its own bathroom, which was nice. Another view. It did not have a balcony, which kind of surprised me. It would have been really nice to have a balcony and go sit out there at night. So I think that was a miss. But the other thing you can see about the rooms is they're really bare. There's not really a lot of decoration. There's not really a lot of chairs. We never ordered room service, which for the record does have a $5 fee. But the beds were not very comfortable, so kind of a heads up on that. They need to invest in some new mattresses. But the space was really nice, especially to have a separate area between my wife and the kids. So that's what I think about the rooms. So
it's in the closet.
All right, so here is a closet. Let's check out what's inside here. We have children. And a safe, ironing board, which I will use on all my t-shirts. Okay, be quiet. Again, another bathroom, laid out very similar.
I still have chili.
Granite countertops. It's basic, but nice. Does have toiletries. And then here is the upper master suite, king-size bed. Very similar, I think it's the exact same counter as below. A small dining table. And my initial thoughts are, there's only 2 non-bed chairs to sit in, so that's the biggest issue to me, if you're gonna have room service delivered. But not too shabby. And let's make sure there's a double mini bar here. There is. So, cheers. The rooms, I'm actually going to give a 3, a V in the middle. The accommodations, I don't know what the other rooms look like. Again, there were some maintenance issues with the rooms. They were very responsive again because the customer service was great and the space was nice, but definitely some opportunity. And there was kind of a weird odor no matter what in the room. So next, let's talk about the beverage and dining options. And this is a weird category on this one as well because your options were limitless. They had so much variety here. So first of all, here's the main buffet. And the main buffet was open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it had tons of different stuff going on. They changed it up a little bit. Breakfast was always the same, but lunch and dinner, they do Mexican themes, they do sushi, plus normal meals as well. So lots of different options. A few of the things I didn't like is the food sucked. It was not good. Out of the 100 options you had to eat there, you could find 2 or 3 things that were good. Many of the things were edible. The other thing I didn't like is, and this really isn't the resort's fault, but people don't watch their kids on trips. So you have people going to the ice cream container and kids licking off the community scoop, shit like that, or cutting you in line. And it's very hard for me to have #restraint when I see that happening, because my kids are extremely well behaved, well mannered, and they know what civilization is like. So that was an issue. But it was cool to have all the different options. And if you can't find those 2 or 3 things that you like, then you have some issues. But this was La Papala. I think that's how it's pronounced, which it's usually called that at most main restaurants open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Another restaurant we went to is a steakhouse called Wayne's Boots. And if you think about, you go to Mexico, you can't get a good steak in Mexico. It just doesn't happen, or I've never had one. It was very nice. Service was fantastic. Options on menu were good. The potatoes were good, which I was surprised at. But steak was just by any means. But it is an option. You have to make reservations, which we're going to talk about in a second. Another place we went to is the Italian restaurant. This was not good. I was very surprised. The kids' meals, the spaghetti in the kids' meals was better than the lasagna and the ravioli that I had. It was not good Italian, which is kind of hit and miss at Mexican resorts, which you don't really expect to have good Italian. But I was sad at this. They had a Mexican restaurant as well that we did not get to try because it was under construction. They did have a lot of Mexican in the main buffet, which actually was very good, which you don't always find good Mexican in Mexico, believe it or not, at least at resorts. Another one, they had a French restaurant we did not go to because it was adults only, but this is an option for everybody as well. They had a buffet. Here it is empty. I never took a picture, but during the day, this was open from, I think, 11 to 6, and they had burgers and hot dogs and wings and chicken nuggets, and it was all very substandard. It wasn't very good. They had French fries, and again, my big complaint with this, again, children that would stick their hands in the food and, throw tongs on the floor and shit like that. So that was rather annoying, but it was a good option to have whenever you wanted. They also had a standalone Japanese restaurant, or kind of much like the pool buffet that you just saw. So this was an option as well. We never went in here because we're not huge fans of Japanese food, but again, it was another option. I forgot to mention you also have an option for eating at a seafood restaurant. And on top of that, they have a buffet open from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. right outside. Now, the last thing I didn't mention were the reservations were such a pain in the ass and such a waste of time. They need a better reservation system, so make sure you talk to somebody about that. For bars, tons and tons of different options. Here's the one by the pool that we talked about. This is our main one we went to all the time. Some of the bartenders were fantastic, not only friendly in service, but they knew how to mix a drink, and some were the complete opposite, not friendly. They weren't rude by any means, but and they did not know how to mix a drink. You had another one down by the pool, and this guy, if that bartender works there all the time, I want to warn you to watch out for him. He pours 70% alcohol in the drinks, so I got effed up really fast. I think it was 4 drinks in and I was passed out, which has never happened to me before, but props to him. Another one we had is kind of right in the lobby area. They had this bar that actually had 2 sides. Here's the side where they had live music every night, another cool entertainment option, which we haven't talked about yet. And then on the other side, they had kind of a lounge area, which we're going to talk about more. Very cool bar. I think it was open from, I don't even know what time it was open, to be honest with you. So those were your bar options. It feels like I'm missing one. But plenty of drinks. The wait staff was just okay around the pool. They seemed really inconsistent. They would sometimes ask us, sometimes they wouldn't. Sometimes they'd take our orders and never come back, which was not a big deal though, because the bar was 10 steps away. So we just go ahead and order our own drinks. So as far as the food, like I said, the options are fantastic. The quality, for the most part, was very poor. So I think they need to invest in a new head chef, someone who can at least make the food decent. So because of that, I'm giving it a 3, a very nice, because the amount of options are fantastic. I've never seen a resort that had that many different options. I've seen them with that many different restaurants, but they did a really good job of finding every taste out there and letting you have things you could do. Entertainment options is the last thing we're going to talk about because we've already kind of talked about quite a few of them, but they had so much stuff you could do, it was redonkulous. That's right, redonkulous. As I said, they had a basketball court, they had a soccer court, they had adult or older children oriented water slides. Over there they had a zip line, they had a rock wall, they had 3 different pools. They had an awesome beach. They had tons of entertainment options. They try and organize, water polo and water basketball and volleyball and trivia and bingo and things like that. Check this out. Here's a lounge you could sit in. They would play sports TV, which was kind of nice. This was next to the bar. Really neat. They had a frickin' tiny movie theater that they would constantly play movies at. We watched 10 minutes of Spider-Man 3. Or Spider-Man 2. And then they had a little game room that we didn't use, but pool and ping pong and foosball, another option. For the children, they had that cool water park again. Here it is, just some more shots of it. Very cool that they had this. They also had a kids club down below, which we didn't go in. Here's a picture of it. My kids like to hang out with us. They like to go soak up at the pool. Or you could just lounge around like we did and do nothing and have fun. So I think for activities, they get an X, a 5 out of 5. Fantastic job on that. And I was really excited and that there was never any downtime or any boring time. And there was some stuff I'm sure I left out in all those things. So let's give this a rating. And this is where it becomes really difficult for me because I don't know if I'd go back simply for I don't know if it's because all the other kids were annoying. Usually we go to a little bit higher end resorts and there's a lot less children, and my children are very well mannered because they hang out with us, or if they go do something on their own, they're polite and they use civilized manners and techniques. But I don't think I would ever go back, but I'm still going to give it a 3 out of 5 overall. I think it's close to a 4-star rating because of the variety and some of the cool ground stuff that they have, like the beach. And just some of the options. But I think, honestly, if they poured $20 to $30 million into this hotel in renovations, in upgrading the food, I think this would be a 5-star hotel. So I think there's tons of potential. Their location is fantastic. It's closer to the airport because it's on the south part of the Strip. And the fact that they are pretty affordable, I try not to gauge price into these things. I think it's priced correctly for what it is. It's 100% priced correctly. It's a little bit cheaper because you get what you pay for. So I don't feel any disadvantage to that. So I think I would go again, but I really wish, like I said, they'd upgrade the grounds. They'd spend some money on some maintenance, and they'd spend some money on better food, not necessarily variety, but quality. And I think it would be an X for sure, a 5 out of 5 stars. So I didn't plan on what I was going to say, as I never do if you're new to the channel. But if you enjoyed that, go ahead and hit subscribe, because you know what I do that's cooler than traveling? I collect high-end collectibles. So go ahead and hit subscribe if you can for me. Let me know your favorite resort in Mexico if you hung in for me this long with me. I think it's a fantastic place to go. I'm not worried about crime. We stay within the resort because we don't want to be drugged and raped. We only want that to happen at our home. It happens. So with that, thanks so much for watching again. Please hit that subscribe to see other cool stuff on this channel, and I will talk to you tomorrow.